What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so yeah, I know this title's gonna ruffle some feathers, but it is what it is. Okay. Um, Let me say this first. If the media wasn't, if the media didn't have so many biased people out there who have their own personal agendas, this is what you would hear more on television, ESPN, Fox Sports, and all. Right? You would hear something like this. Because remember, this is what you heard all last year with LeBron James. This is LeBron James, only his second year with the Lakers. He's showing Anthony Davis how to be a champion at age 35. You know, very few players at this age have been able to play at this level. Look, LeBron James, his first year at point guard, he's leading the NBA in assists. Wow, we've never seen this before. He's showing what a true champion he is. He's showing all these great players what it takes to win. I think he's doing more for this team than anybody else. He should win the MVP. That's what you kept hearing, right? So why aren't you hearing this? Kevin Durant is only the second player in the history of the NBA, probably only the second player in the history of sports to successfully come back from an Achilles rupture and play at a high level. The only other one is Dominique Wilkins. That's it. Even the great Kobe Bryant was not able to come back from an Achilles rupture and be anywhere near the force he was. Kevin Durant has been able to come back from an Achilles rupture, which in 99.9999% of everybody else that's ever had that injury, they've come back and be only shells of themselves. This season, I know Brooklyn isn't playing very well right now as a team, not to the level that we expect. But right now, individually, Kevin Durant is averaging over 29 points a game. He's shooting a career high 54% from the floor. He's shooting a career high 46% from 3 point range. He's shooting 86% from the foul line, which is actually a little bit low for him. His career is 88 plus percent. He's averaging, of course, I think over 7 rebounds, over 5 assists. And that's one aspect of his game that has improved dramatically since his Oklahoma City Thunder days, or at least his earlier Oklahoma City Thunder days when he was winning scoring titles, is that he's a far improved passer and playmaker. And he's much better off the ball than he was when he was with OKC. So his efficiency has improved dramatically. His decision making has improved dramatically. His playmaking and passing have improved dramatically. His rebounding has improved. And his defense has improved. Not saying he's Scottie Pippen, not saying he's John Havlicek, not even saying he's Stacey Augmon, but his defense has improved. But why aren't you hearing that? Because these guys have agendas. And now what you're hearing, oh, another super team for KD. Well, why don't you guys keeping the same energy? You guys get on LeBron James for it, but you're not keeping the same energy for Kevin Durant. First of all, I think I refer to the Warriors all the time as a super team. I'm not talking about everybody else, just talking about myself. I think a lot of people said that KD was on a super team. Wasn't that one of the main reasons why he left the Warriors? Is because people were trying to cheapen those championships by saying, well, can he lead a regular team to a championship? So he went to Brooklyn. Initially, it was supposed to just be him and Kyrie. He didn't foresee that they were going to get James Harden. He didn't foresee that. Whereas other guys, they co-conspired with others to form a mighty threesome. Wasn't a luck of the draw when it comes to drafts or trades or free agent signing. Co-conspirators. It was a conspiracy to form the Heatles. You know, it was pre-planned to form that team in Cleveland. It was a series of trades and moves and maneuvers to get the team right now in LA. But the thing is, it was planned. This wasn't planned with Harden. To quote the great Curly Howard, Kevin Durant, a victim of circumstance. So, miss me with that shit. You know, if you're a great, if you believe in your team that much, stop whining, stop complaining, and have your guy prove that he's a greater player. Stop bitching and moaning whenever somebody raises the bar to a point where they become a threat to your team. Otherwise, you're just a front running bitch. But why I was saying that Kevin Durant could potentially be, in the grand scheme of things, maybe perceived as a greater player. Well, I was going to make a comparison between Barkley and Malone, but I think because we're talking about champions here, I'll make a comparison with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. If you were to go, let's say you stopped their careers in 1986, right? If you were to stop Magic Johnson and Larry Bird's careers in 1986, you'd be tempted to say that Larry Bird was the superior player overall. Even if you think that Larry Bird was a better individual player, if you look at their careers, you might be saying, well, man, maybe Larry Bird just had a better career too. Because by that point, though Magic Johnson did win a championship in 1980 when he played the center position at pivotal game and won, helped them to win the title. He also won a championship in 82 and, of course, in 85. But it can be argued that Kareem was more essential for them winning that championship in 85 than Magic. One of the reasons why they lost in 84 was because of Magic Johnson's bad play. And that, in 83, his team got blown the hell out, vastly outplayed by Philly. And, you really can't point to, you really at that time couldn't point to an individual finals where Magic had imprinted himself, aside from that one game, consistently imprinted himself in a memorable moment or memorable series. You know what I'm saying? Not in the finals. At that time, Magic had not won a league MVP. Whereas Larry Bird had won three championships as well, 81, 84, and 86. He had won three consecutive finals MVP, three consecutive league MVPs. In an age where the four position was the most demanding position in the NBA. Every team had a good forward, and I mean that. Every team in the NBA had a capable forward that could light you up for at least 20 points, if not more. From James Worthy to Bird himself to Dominic Wilkins to Julius Erving to Adrian Dantley to Alex English to Kiki Vandeweghe to Mark Aguirre to Greg Ballard to, every team, man. Um, every team had a forward that could score. James Worthy, if I haven't said him, and so many others. Marquise Johnson. Um, but anyway, also you could say that the Boston Celtics had a more difficult path to the finals than Lakers. So at that point, you could say Bird was a superior player, and he appeared to be in a position to add to that. They had just drafted Len Bias, and they looked locked up to win more championships. What happened though? Len Bias died of a cocaine-induced heart attack just 36 hours after he was drafted. Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish slowly grew older. Injuries began to affect them. Magic Johnson took on the offensive role as as the number one option. And he became the unquestioned leader. Even though Cat was the elder statesman, but Magic was the leader of those Lakers teams in the late '80s. And then Magic won MVPs in '87, '89, and '90, and back-to-back championships in '87 and '88. Something that had not been accomplished since the Bill Russell championships years. By 1991, when he surprisingly led his team to the finals, even though Bird early in that season had Boston up with a record of 29-5, but Bird's injuries, after the team just kind of slightly fell apart. But by 1991, the perception was that Magic Johnson was the superior to two players. Excuse me. So that's what I'm trying to say. We don't know what the future holds. Okay, I had to go in detail to explain what I meant. When Michael Jordan won his third championship, he was already 30 years old. And as late as his 33rd birthday, in February of 1996, he still only, and I use air quotes, only had three championships. But by June of 1998, he won his sixth NBA championship. So we don't know what the future holds. Now that he's on this team with James and Kyrie Irving, the stakes are high, expectations are high, but they could very well win a championship this year. And they could win it again next year. So that means if they win, let's just say they won back-to-back championships. And let's say each year, let's say at least this year, their opponent is the Lakers. I don't know about next year. I'm just speculating. That would mean by the time Kevin Durant's 34 years old, now he has four NBA championships at age 34. And let's say that he's able to win at least one more title before everything's said and done. I'm not saying they're going to three-peat. Let's say they lose, but then later on they go back and win another title. Well, this time LeBron James sort of no longer a top 10 player. By that time he'd be close to 40. But Kevin Durant's mid-30s, his type of game he has, he's not going to have a whole lot of wear and tear. He's still going to be a great scorer. All right. He's still probably going to average 25, 24 points a game at that point. And he wins a fifth championship. Now you have to look at it seriously. Do you rank him ahead of LeBron James? Especially if he keeps playing. Everybody keeps talking about LeBron James passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's very possible that he does this. But we don't know Kevin Durant's plans. Kevin Durant is in a position, if he chooses to, he could end up being the all-time leading scorer. First of all, he has a case, and nobody really brings him up. They always talk about Steph, but he has a case for being the greatest shooter slash scorer in the history of the game. Seriously. If you say scorer slash shooter, I think it's Kevin Durant. And I'll tell you why. First of all, his efficiency. In his career, Kevin Durant has only averaged 20 field goal attempts per game twice. 20. Usually he's somewhere in the 17 to 19 field goal attempts per game average. So like George Gervin. George Gervin was a great scorer who won 4 scoring titles, but he was not a selfish player. He played on a team that also had, I had a hard time remembering their names in a video recently. He played on a team with other great scorers named Larry Keenan and Mike Mitchell. These are guys that also put up between 18 and 22 points a game. So George Gervin was not the only guy. You know, you look at highlight reels, they make it seem like George Gervin was just one man army, but George Gervin was just the number one scorer on a team that had other lesser but potent scorers. So Kevin Durant is not a selfish scorer, and he's extremely efficient. For his career, he shoots 49.3% from the floor. And I know some people will say, well, look, LeBron shoots 50.4% from the floor. So that makes him a superior scorer. Not necessarily. Um, Sometimes you got to look at how players are getting their shots and where they're shooting, and you compare that to their field goal percentage. LeBron James generally gets a lot of his points in the paint. A majority of his points actually come in the paint and at the foul line. He can hit a three, but you got to look at these games where he's shooting. He shoots them in certain spots. He loves to shoot them on the wings. If you look at him, he loves to shoot in the wings or dead on. Those are his sweet spots. And because he's 6'8", 6'9", oftentimes he'll shoot when he's being guarded by a player who is at a height disadvantage or a reach disadvantage or is not a especially good defensive player. Then he'll take advantage of that mismatch, which he should. But he's generally not a what you would call a great shooter. Kevin Durant's a phenomenal shooter who can shoot from all over the court at a high percentage. In fact, this is the 8th consecutive season that Kevin Durant has shot over 50% from the floor. 8th consecutive. He's been doing this since 2013, 2014, shooting over 50% from the floor. He's become much better in his shot selection, much better at overall shooting from the floor. He's become much better at his outside shooting. I believe his rookie year, he shot something like 28, 29% from three-point range. For his career, he's a 38% three-point shooter. The league average is 36%. So he's a better than average three-point shooter. Over the last few years, he's been more of a 40% three-point shooter. And he's an 88 plus percent free throw shooter. Overall, he has a case for being the greatest scorer slash shooter we've seen. He averages over 27 points a game for his career. He averages, I think, over 29 points a game for his career in playoffs. So he's one of the most prolific scorers in the history of this league while not being a ball hog. I'm trying to compare him to somebody. Look. Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant for his career, okay, we go to him right quick. Kevin Durant for his career averages 27 points a game. Elgin Baylor averaged 27.4 points per game. But Elgin Baylor averaged 23.8 shot attempts per game. Kevin Durant averages 18.7 shot attempts per game. Elgin Baylor shot 43% from the floor. Durant is shooting over 49% from the floor. So at the end of the day, he has a case for being one of the greatest offensive forces this game has ever seen. When you look at his prolific, prolific as far as being a prolific scorer and an efficient scorer. I mean, it's he has a case for being the GOAT in that category. If he were to win maybe two, three more Finals MVPs, if he were to win two or three more championships, then you have to look at Kevin Durant in that top hierarchy. Like I would say top at least top 3 to 4 player all time. And if he exceeds that, then what I'm saying with that. But like I said, all this is speculative. He may not win another championship, and if he doesn't, then I couldn't see him being anything higher than top 15ish, top 10ish, depending on how long he plays. All this is speculative, but there's the possibility is there. The possibility is there with Kevin Durant. Okay. Um, it all depends on how this team meshes. I know that James Harden has a lot of pressure on him. Okay. Um, I've been critical of him. A lot of people have been very critical of him. Okay. He talks about how he's done everything he could for the city of Houston. But this is a guy that's had a lot of talent. He's had a lot of players, a lot of very talented players that have played with him in Houston. This is guys played with Dwight Howard when he was near the peak of his powers. This is guys played with Carmelo Anthony. He's played with Russell Westbrook. He's played with Chris Paul. Okay. Briefly, he's with John Wall. Briefly, DeMarcus Cousins. Okay. He had one of the best Houston Rockets teams ever. That 65 win team in 2018 that should have won it all. No excuses. Okay. He's had talent on his teams. The problem was James Harden didn't step up when his teammates didn't step up. What happened in the 1993 NBA Finals when no one in Chicago was stepping up when need be? Michael Jordan did just enough to keep his team afloat. Well, if it wasn't Jordan, it'd be Scottie Pippen. That's what you get paid all that money to do. You get paid to step up, not just to go to strip clubs, not just to engage in all these fucking man versus food eating contests. Shout out to LB with that one. Okay, you also get paid to perform at a high level. I know a lot of young people like to hear people like me say that. Oh man, you like one of the old funny. No, when you get paid a lot of money at your job, let me tell you something. When someone gets paid more than you, right, and y'all do the same fucking job, what is your attitude, right? If this nigga get paid more, you expect him to produce more, right? Don't you? If a motherfucker, if you're getting paid $17.50 an hour, but you find out a coworker that does the exact same shit that you do is making $23 an hour, what do you expect of him? You expect him to do more, right? You want his workload to be more. So why the fuck are y'all guys giving these dudes to get paid millions of dollars, 200, 230, $250 million? All of a sudden, you guys want these guys to get all these breaks. They want us to take it easy. Oh, we hating. Man, get out of here. Hypocrites. All we're asking this motherfucker to do is be a superstar. That's it. Be a superstar. I didn't mean to go into a James Harden rant, but shit. If James Harden comes over here and he's able to adjust his ego, I know he has been the man for 8, 9 years in Houston. But look, DeMarcus Cousins was the man, right? In a series of injuries, unfortunate events, he had to make some adjustments to how he was going to be used when he went to Golden State. Right? Now, unfortunately, it didn't work out for a ring for him, but he was able to make that adjustment before he had suffered another injury. Able to come back to the finals and play. But you know what I'm saying? Dwight Howard, even though he's a scumbag ass motherfucker, he was able to make those personality adjustments. Okay. He came to the Lakers hat in hand. They gave him opportunity, and he said, basically, fuck you afterwards. But he did what he had to do to fit in to win a championship. James Harden is just going to have to do that. Okay. Kyrie Irving, people have been very critical of him. At the end of the day, it's like this. Whatever you were going through, I hope you've gone through that. Now it's time to focus on the task at hand, man. You know? And if I'm sound like I'm rooting for them a little bit, yeah, I am. I am, a little bit. You know? Shit, the media roots for the Lakers, don't they? I mean, seriously. Doesn't the media root for the Lakers? Collectively? Didn't the Lakers have four future Hall of Famers on their roster last year? With LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard and Rondo. Those four guys are going to be in the Hall of Fame. But nobody referred to the Lakers last year as a super team. So at the end of the day, yeah, I am kind of rooting for this team. I hope they do well. So that's all I got to say. Tell me what you guys think.